So in this example, if you look at this, see there is this heat exchange between ice and the atmosphere. So this is similar to a problem involving a body with a finite temperature and a sink. Okay. So we have seen maximum work obtainable between a finite temperature body and a reservoir. Okay. And so you can say delta S of ice as MCP ln of the final temperature by initial temperature. Okay. So you can say, so one is the mass of the ice, Cp is given as 2.903. So let me convert it to joule and write it as 2093 into ln of TFS, the atmospheric temperature 293, and T1 happens to be 268. Okay. And you will get an answer here. So this will be a positive answer because this is heat addition. And similarly, you can find delta S of the atmosphere by estimating the value of Q, which is MCP delta T, divided by Q divided by the atmospheric temperature will give you delta S of atmosphere. And then you can say delta S of universe equal to delta S of ice plus delta S of atmosphere. And you will get an answer, hoping to be the right answer. But this is wrong. Okay. Because you have to take one more factor into consideration here. The way in which we started the problem is conceptually, or maybe technically it is right, but conceptually there is one more factor that needs to be considered here. Your ice is, of course, it is moving from minus 5 degrees centigrade to 20 degrees centigrade. Okay. And from our common sense, we know when ice moves from minus 5 to 20, it will be no longer ice, but it would be liquid water. Okay. So there is one more process here in between where there is a phase change that is taking place at 0 degrees centigrade. Okay. If you remember, we have studied something called sensible heating and latent heating. So between minus 5 and 0, there is one sensible heating that is taking place. And between 0 to 20, there is another sensible heating. And at 0 degree centigrade, there is a latent heat that is taking place. Okay, so there is actually three heat transfer that is taking place here. Okay, so you have to be a little bit careful when you estimate the value of the change in entropy if there is a phase change involved in it. Okay. So what you have to do here is, so this delta S of ice, you can't write it as a single statement like this. So this has to be done in three stages. This delta S of ice has to estimate it in three stages. The first stage is delta S of ice involving the sensible heating, the first sensible heating. So let's call it as S1, that is sensible heating 1. Plus, then you have the delta S entropy change of ice involving the latent heat. So let's call it as L plus delta S. So now it is no longer ice, but because it is given as ice in the problem, we are simply taking it as ice. Okay, it has now become water. Everything has converted into water. So that is sensible heating. Okay, and now if you write delta S of ice for the sensible heating, okay, the mass of the ice we know. So the initial temperature would be minus 5 degrees centigrade. The final temperature would be 0 degrees centigrade. So this would be MCP ln of the final temperature by initial temperature. And you have to give care and write this final temperature is 0 degree here and the initial temperature is minus 5 degree, and don't forget to convert it to Kelvin. So this fellow would be 1 multiplied by 2093 into ln of the final temperature is 0, so it would be simply 273 and the initial temperature is 273 minus 5, so it is 268. 273 by 268. So that is the entropy change of ice for the first sensible heating when it moves from minus 5 to 0 degrees centigrade. And if you look at this sensible heating 2, so that is also MCP ln of TF by TI ln TF by TI. So which means this is 1 multiplied by 2093 and the ln of TF here is 20 degree. So 20 is 293 and final initial temperature here would be 0 degrees centigrade. It is moving from 0 to 20. So this will be ln of 293 by 270. Okay. So this is for the two sensible heating systems. What about delta S of ice while it is being heated latently? So there what you will have is you can't use MCP ln of TF by TI because the initial temperature is also 0. The final temperature is also 0. The phase change is taking place between 0 degrees centigrade and 0 degrees centigrade. So if you say ln of 0 by 0, it becomes, or ln of 273 by 273, because we won't be writing it as 0, we will be writing it as 273 by 273, which makes it ln of 1. And then delta S of ice will become 0. So the entropy change will become 0. So we can't use that particular formula. Instead, what we have to use is we have to simply use the formula Q by the temperature. Okay. And what is this Q? This Q can be written as, instead of MCP delta T for the phase change during the latent heating alone. So for latent heating, or for phase change for latent heating, your Q is always M multiplied by the latent heat. So here they have given that in the problem, latent heat of ice is 333.3 kilojoule per kilogram. So the mass given is 1. So 1 into 333.3 will give you 333.3 kilojoules. Okay, so this fellow would be 333.3 kilojoules. So this is in kilojoules. For the other, we have already converted it into joules, divided by the temperature here is 0. So divided by 273. So now if you add these three entities, that will give you the entropy change of ice. Okay. So that solves one part of the problem, because what they have asked us to estimate is the entropy change of the universe. What we have estimated is just the entropy change of ice. So we have to estimate entropy change of the atmosphere also. So if you want to find entropy change of atmosphere, so delta S of atmosphere, so this is actually a reservoir. So if it is a reservoir, then we use the formula, the heat that has been supplied by the reservoir divided by the temperature of the reservoir. So here this is temperature of the atmosphere. Now we need to know what this Q is. So the heat supplied by the atmosphere is equal to heat gained by the ice. Okay, so heat gained by the ice can be written as, once again, the heat gained by the ice takes place in three formats: two sensible heating and one latent heating. So we have to write it as MCP times. So here it is not at all a concern whether the difference is, you are writing it in degree centigrade or in Kelvin. Both will give you the same answer. So the final temperature for the for the first sensible heating is 273 minus 268 MCP delta T. So that is for the first sensible heating. Okay. So this is one term. Followed by the next term is, we have already seen, for latent heating it is simply M times L. Then for the next term it is MCP times final temperature is 293, initial temperature for it is 273. Okay, so this is 293 minus 273. So if you add up all these values, that will give you the heat gained by the ice from the atmosphere. Okay, or the heat given by the atmosphere, or heat rejected by the atmosphere, whatever you can say. So that is Q. And Q divided by T, atmospheric temperature is 293. So this entire term divided by 293 will give you delta S of the atmosphere. So delta S of the universe will be delta S of ice plus delta S of atmosphere. Okay. So it is same as that of the previous problem. The only thing is, here the body or the system which we are considering has got a heat transfer which involves phase change. Okay, not only phase change, two sensible heatings and one latent heating. So you have to account for that. So if you do that, then it will be quite simple. Okay, so whenever you have a problem involving ice, then immediately check the temperature. If the temperature is say between minus 25 and minus 5, then it is not at all an issue. It involves only sensible heating. Or if they say minus 5 and 0, then it involves sensible heating and latent heating, because minus 5 to 0 it is sensible, 0 to 0 it is latent. If they are saying minus 5 to plus 5, then there is one sensible heating which involves minus 5 to 0, 0 to 0 there is a latent heating, and 0 to 5 there is a sensible heating. So you have to account for all the three. Okay, is that clear? So if you look at the solution, so here heat absorbed by ice from the atmosphere. So in the solid phase, so as I told you, here it is not at all an issue whether you're substituting it in Kelvin or in degree. So if you look at the previous slide, 273 minus 268, that is also 5. 0 minus of minus 5 is also 5. Here 293 minus 273, that is 20. 20 minus 0, that is also 20. So it is not an issue whether you substitute it in degree centigrade or Kelvin when there is a temperature difference. Okay. So here they have done it in centigrade. So here you can see it is 20 minus 0 is also 20. And 0 minus of minus 5 is 5. So you are getting the total heat transfer as 427.5 kilojoule. Okay. And then, as we discussed, the entropy change of the atmosphere. Yes. So here the atmosphere is losing heat. So they are introducing a negative sign. So that is also very important. The ice is gaining heat, the atmosphere is losing heat. So it is negative. Okay. So minus of Q by T So you are getting an answer in negative, which is minus 1.46 kilojoule per Kelvin. Then the ice, the entropy change as it gets heated from minus 5 to 0. So this is sensible heating. And as the ice melts at 0 degree centigrade to become water at 0 degree centigrade, so that is 0 to 0. So there you are getting 1.22. Then again sensible heating from 0 degree centigrade to 20 degree centigrade. So MC ln of T2 by T1. Here also ln of TF by Ti. So now if you add all these three, you will get the entropy change of ice. Then you add delta S of the ice plus delta S of the atmosphere, that will give you the total entropy change. So in a well-designed, well-described problem, your entropy change will be always positive. So make sure that, so when you end up writing the answer, if you are getting delta S of universe as negative, recheck your values. Okay. So if you are getting a negative value, then there is some mistake which you would have done in the problem. Okay. The next problem. A system has a capacity at constant volume, which is given as CV equal to AT squared. Okay, when they have said capacity, it means heat capacity. So specific heat into mass. So that is heat capacity. That is what is given as CV equal to AT squared. So this is capital CV. Okay, so this is capital CV, which is equal to AT squared, where A is given, the value of constant is given as 0.042 joule per Kelvin cube. The system is originally at 200 Kelvin and a thermal reservoir at 100 Kelvin is available. What is the maximum amount of work that can be recovered as the system is cooled down to the temperature of the reservoir? Okay, so here what they have said is, so you can even draw a line diagram here. So there is a source or a reservoir which is available at 100 Kelvin. Okay. So if they want us to, if they are asking us to recover work, then automatically it is a heat engine, no doubt about it. So this is going to be a heat engine. Okay. And the system which they are saying is at 200 Kelvin. Sorry. So the system is at the higher temperature and the thermal reservoir happens to be the sink. So 100 Kelvin is your reservoir temperature, which happens to be the sink. Okay, and they want us to find what is the maximum amount of work that can be delivered by this particular, or that can be recovered from this particular engine. Okay, and what we have seen is, if this is taken as Q, then the amount of heat rejected can be written as Q minus W. Okay, in a generic sense. Now they have said that the system has a capacity at constant volume, then they have given relation CV equal to AT squared. Okay, so this will help us to get the value of the heat transfer. So because the definition of Q is nothing but integral of CV dt. The definition of Q is integral of CV dt. Okay, dq is integral of CV dt. So dq gives Q, and this dt we usually write it as mcv into t2 minus t1, then cv remains constant. Okay, whereas in this case this cv has got a relationship as at squared. Okay, so this has to be integrated now between the limits t1 or t1 and t2, which means the final temperature and the initial temperature. If you want, you can write it as ti and tf. So that will give you, so if you integrate it here, what we have is AT squared AT squared dt. So you have to integrate AT squared dt between the limits t1 and t2, and that will give you AT cube by 3 between the limits t1 and t2. So t1 is 100 and t2 is 200. Okay, so what you'll have is a by 3 into 200 cube minus 100 cube. And you can substitute the value of a also. So if you substitute the value of a, which is in joule per Kelvin cube, so in the numerator also you have got Kelvin cube. So both of them will get cancelled, and you will get some answer which is in joule. Okay, so this gives you the heat that is supplied by this particular system. Okay, so heat is actually supplied by the system, which means heat is leaving the system actually. Okay, so that is your heat that is being rejected by the system. Okay, and I have made a mistake here. So this is not 200. This is supposed to be 100. The initial temperature is 200. The final temperature is 100. So this is supposed to be 100 cube minus 200. So you'll get something in negative. And that negative sign shows that the heat is leaving the system. Okay. So that is the heat that is being supplied by the system. Okay, when water is asked of us is what is the maximum amount of work that can be recovered from the system. Okay, so let's go step by step. So what will be the delta S of the system? How will you estimate delta S of the system? So delta S of the system, we usually write it as integral dq by t. So here it is cv dt by t. So integral dq by t is your delta S. So dq we are writing it as cv dt divided by t, and cv we can replace it with at squared. So you can cancel out one temperature term, and you can simply write it as a into t. So you can cancel out one temperature term here, and if you integrate it, what you will get is a into t squared by 2, and once again it is between the limits 200 and 100. 200 is the initial temperature and 100 is the final temperature. So here you will have a by 2 into 100 squared minus 200 squared. So this will give you the entropy change of the system, and this will be negative. You will get something in joule per Kelvin. Okay, so that is what you will get for delta S of the system. Okay, now we have to go and find out what is the delta S of the reservoir. Okay, delta S of the reservoir is nothing but Q divided by T. So the heat that is entering into the reservoir divided by the temperature of the reservoir. Okay, if you look at the previous case, If you look at this problem which we saw, here 1 kg of water is in contact with the body. So whatever heat is gained by the water is taken from the source directly. Okay. There is no other uh, loss of this particular energy, or whatever is emanating from the source is entering into the body. Okay. Whereas if you look at this particular problem, they are talking about recovering work from the system, which means here Q is leaving this system, but not all of this Q is entering into the reservoir. Okay. So usually, okay, I'll first write with this and then we can correct it. So we usually what we write is delta S of the reservoir here. So let me call it as RES for reservoir. So what we usually used to say is heat entering into the reservoir divided by the temperature of the reservoir. Okay. But in this particular case, we can't use this particular formula. Why we can't use this particular formula? Whatever Q is leaving the system is not entering into the reservoir. Part of this Q is getting converted into work. Only Q minus W is entering into the reservoir. Okay. So the formula gets converted into Q minus W divided by the temperature of the reservoir. Okay. So that is the only change that you have to make a note over here. Okay. You have to make a note of it. So what is the heat that is entering into the reservoir divided by the temperature of the reservoir? Okay. And what we know is this Q value is known to us because that is the heat that is leaving the system. You would have estimated it here. So that is the Q value. So this Q is known to us. And the temperature of the reservoir is also known to us, which is 100 Kelvin. But what we don't know is this W. Okay. So that gives you the temp. So because we don't know this W, you can't get a full-fledged answer for this particular part of the problem. So what you will be getting is, so for delta S of the reservoir, so the Q happens to be, so according to the book answer, this is 98 kilojoules minus W divided by 100. Okay. Now what we know is delta S of the system plus delta S of the reservoir this should be equal to delta S of the universe. So you can add these two. Okay. So the delta S of the system, you have a definite numerical value. For delta S of the reservoir, you can only write it like this. So the delta S of the system is actually minus 630 joule per Kelvin. So this is minus 630 joule per Kelvin. And delta S of the reservoir, we can write it as 98.
Minus 98 only.
No, it is not. Good that you asked. While it is on the system side, it is leaving the system, so it is minus 98. For the reservoir, it is heat entering the system, so it is plus 98. Correct? So
Yes,
for
sir.
the reservoir, it is heat addition, so we have to write it as plus 98. Okay. So now what we
Okay.
know, this is your delta S universe. Okay. So this is your delta S universe, and this delta S universe, you are getting this particular uh, an equation sort of thing, you're getting it. Okay. And what we know is, if they are asking us to find the maximum amount of work that can be recovered, okay, common sense tells us this delta S should be greater than or equal to 0. Obviously, this should be greater than or equal to 0. But if they are asking us to find the maximum amount of work that can be recovered, then this should be equal to 0. Okay. When will you have maximum amount of work? Only when the heat engine is reversible. So delta S is equal to 0 when the heat engine is reversible. Okay. So common sense tells us delta S of universe should be greater than or equal to 0. But for maximum work to be recovered, for maximum work to be recovered, what we require is delta S should be equal to 0, because delta S will be equal to 0 only when the engine is reversible, and only when the engine is reversible you will be able to get maximum work. So delta S of universe should be equated to 0. So now you have got an equation, so that equation can be equated to 0. So which means minus 630 plus 98,000 minus W by 100 is equal to 0. So when you equate it to 0, you will get the value of W, which is nothing but the maximum work done. So the maximum work done in this particular case is 35 kilojoules. So let's see how it has been solved here. Okay. So this is the system. So the system, which is at 200 Kelvin. Okay. So here they have taken it as Q1. Q1 is the amount of heat supplied, and work is W is the amount of work that is being delivered. Q1 minus W is the amount of heat that is rejected. And the reservoir is at 100 Kelvin. Okay. And the system is moving from 200 Kelvin to 100 Kelvin. So they have estimated the value of Q1 just like we did. Delta S of the system. Delta S of the system is integral dq by t. So it is CD times dt by t. So CD is 80 squared. So they are getting minus 630. And reservoir, the universe is, so here what they have done is they have done it with greater than or equal to 0. And finally, they have converted it to 35 kilojoule. They have equated to 35 kilojoule. And they have called it as W max. Okay. So either you can do it here itself, or you can come up to this step and then you can convert the inequality sign into equality sign. Both are correct. Okay. So that is your W max. W max is 35 kilojoule.